Hi, I'm Melissa Cookston, and today we're going to be cooking Kalbi-style spare ribs with a gochujang barbecue sauce. I love bringing international flavors to barbecue, and Korean-style barbecue is very popular these days. Now's the time to pause the video, read the ingredient list and recipe. Take a minute to get everything you need, and then come back and follow step by step as we prepare this recipe. We're going to start this recipe by making the marinade. These are fresh pears soaked in sake, and that's a very important part of this recipe. Pears pair well with pork. That's easy to say. And that's really where you get the freshness from this marinade. So, pears and sake, cilantro, brown sugar, minced ginger, soy sauce, honey, black pepper, sesame oil, rice wine vinegar, and water. I'm just going to pulse that a couple times, give it a good mix. And the marinade is complete. Now we're ready to marinate our ribs. These are 275 to about 3-pound Prairie fresh ribs, and you'll notice the beautiful marbling, and that is the striations of fat in the ribs. That is why I choose Prairie fresh ribs. You can see this fat will render, and that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking for good quality ribs. All this fat will render during the cooking process, leaving you moist and meaty ribs. The first thing I'm going to do is score this membrane in an X pattern. That'll allow the marinade, to get to the meat behind that membrane. Now, I'm going to roll these ribs up. And take a resealable plastic bag. And simply pour the marinade over the ribs. Oh, it smells so good. Now, ultimately, I would like to refrigerate these overnight, but at least 2 hours before cooking. Seal it up. And how easy is that? Okay, so my ribs have been marinating for about 4 hours. And I've got my smoker running at about 250 degrees. So I'm gonna take the ribs out of their bag and get them on the smoker. Now you'll wanna save this marinade because we're gonna use it later. Okay, so I'm gonna take the leftover marinade and use that in the foil when I wrap the ribs. But I'm gonna need to boil it first. So I'm gonna take about half of the marinade and bring it to a boil in this pot. We brought our marinade to a boil, so we're gonna turn it off and let it cool down, waiting on our ribs. Our ribs have been smoking for 2 hours, so it's time to wrap. I have heavy duty aluminum foil. If you don't have heavy duty, I do suggest that you double wrap. So, let's look at these beauties. Yay. So we're gonna take our ribs, place them in the middle of the foil, and I create an envelope. And we have our marinade that we brought to a boil. So basically what I wanna do with this envelope is create easy access while enveloping the rib and the marinade. I don't want the foil to go over the side of the rib, so I'm just gonna peel that back, pull that back just like that. So I'm gonna pour the marinade in my envelope. And close it up. And then we'll put the ribs back on the smoker. It's time to make our gochujang barbecue sauce, and I'm gonna start by sauteing the onions. So we're gonna take some vegetable oil and add our onions. And we just wanna cook these until they become translucent. I love the smell of onion sauteing. All right, so our onions are now translucent. So we're gonna add our other ingredients for our barbecue sauce. So the first thing we're gonna add is our rice wine vinegar, our garlic, ginger, ketchup, brown sugar, honey, soy sauce, salt and pepper, and our gochujang sauce. I'm gonna reduce the heat and let that simmer. Now we're just waiting on the ribs to finish because we will only put the sauce on at the very end of the cooking process. The ribs are done. So I'm going to use my tongs very gently and very gently put the ribs onto the grate of the smoker. Now we're going to take our gochujang barbecue sauce and just slather it on the top of these ribs. And automatically my mouth is watering, smelling the sauce and these ribs. I still love barbecue. Even after all these years, ribs is my favorite food. I'm gonna let this sauce set for about 15 minutes and it'll be eating time. Okay, so it is that time. It's time when we get to try the ribs as the cook. You know, you always get the first bite. They're hot. Oh, look at that beautiful smoke ring. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, here we go. These ribs are so moist and so meaty, and the flavors are just bursting. This is a great fun recipe. I hope you try it. You know, we are really putting a twist on traditional barbecue. The quality of the rib is fantastic. Prairie Fresh ribs are the best you can buy on the market. We are really making meal times. I'm Melissa Cookston. Please join me for this and other recipes at Prairie Fresh.